I'm Madhavi. I work for Samsung Developer Relation Team. So I'll be taking you through a brief of Tizen architecture, what are inside Web APIs, what are inside native APIs, and then I'll take you through the Tizen IDE. So I think I'll skip these slides. Like Nishant has already briefed you what is Tizen. Now you have a fair idea what is Tizen and what kind of platform it is. So one thing I would like to cover here is our SDK supports on multiple OS like Windows, Ubuntu and Mac. So if you have any of these operating system, our Tizen SDK is installable and you can explore around. So I'll directly take you to the Tizen architecture. So this is Tizen platform architecture. Above the Linux kernel, you have something called native subsystems. You would see many functional blocks like location, messaging, multimedia. These are handling particular services of the platform. So a typical mobile OS has all these functionalities. So these are the native subsystems, which are functional blocks, logically grouped based on the services that they offer. So above these native subsystems, you can see a red line, that is the native APIs. So as a native application developer, anyone interested to develop native applications will be using these APIs. So application developers should be interested in these red lines. These are the APIs exposed to the developer public. So you are seeing two different things. One is native applications, the other is web applications. So you would get a doubt like what kind of language should I be using if I'm developing applications on Tizen? So how many of you know difference between Tizen, native application and web application? I'm asking this question because there are a couple of students as well. I can see some experts also. So I just want to have common page understanding. So how many of you know what is a native application and what is a web application? Okay, so generally any platform, any mobile OS or any platform, if you're using the APIs exposed by that platform itself and you're developing applications, that is called a native applications. If you're using the standard web technologies to develop like HTML5, JavaScript and CSS, it is called a web application. Web application can be on any OS or desktop or mobile. Like let's say you open, your typical web application works on your web browser as well. So the same piece of code, if you're porting onto any mobile OS and if it's working, it can be called a web application. So Tizen is offering both the interfaces. Generally, all the mobile OSs offer their own proprietary or native language APIs. So Tizen wants to attract both native developers and web developers. So they're offering two kinds of interfaces of app development. So as you see the leftmost block, native apps are written in C language. There are three types of native apps that can be developed. One is the UI application, typical standalone application. Simple game or calculator, typical normal applications. You just can use the UI application template and then can develop it. There's something called shared library. So sometimes you might want to write reusable pieces of code and then link it to your application. Let's say you have written something like encoding decoding library and that .so file, if you want to link to your application, you can use the IDE to develop a shared library and can link it to your application. The third type is the service type of application. So many times serious apps or games or applications, service-based applications needs services. As you cannot really rely on a standalone application. You need a backend service. Typical WhatsApp kind of application where your UI is not active all the time, but then when you get network notification and you launch it, your UI gets active. So for that, you need a service. So using service application, you can generate a service and depending on your need, you can link it to your UI or it can typically run as a backend invisible service. So these are the three types of applications that can be developed on the native front. So the web apps are implemented in HTML5, JavaScript and CSS. CSS used for the style sheeting. So here also you can develop UI application, or if you need a service and UI, generally native service, the service parts are not supported by web applications. So it is the hybrid applications are clubbed with the UI from web and service from the native. So these are the two types of applications that can be developed. Okay, so we are coming towards the closure of the session. It's hardly 5-10 minutes away. I hope all of you have filled in your device consent forms and the feedback forms. So our team would come to your desk and would give the device giveaway to you. Please make sure you collect it and also produce a photo identification, something like driver license, or because that's a mandatory process to have a mobile phone. So there are some legal things involved. So please produce your photo identification thing. Our team would take a photograph as well of that. Please be ready with it. So the final session of this dev lab is the Tizen store verification and validation process. Would request you to little bit. Okay. So I would just finish off. After that, you could please discuss. This is an important part of the session. So Tizen store is a single place, marketplace for all of your application submissions. Even if you have developed application on mobile phone or telephone, television or wearable, this is the single place. You don't need to register separately based on your application. So the ID is seller.tizenstore.com. So we would request all of you to connect to the seller site right now and could register yourself as a seller. And if you could show that acknowledgement form while you get the giveaway device, it would be great. So the internet is quite fast, so please log on to the seller.tizenstore.com. Please register. It's a very simple process, 2-step. You would be done within no time and you would receive an acknowledgement as well. So that's part of our giveaway process as well. So to register and to get your app validated at our Tizen store, there's no annual fee, there's no validation fee, it's quite free. And right in this session, some of our developers have confessed with us like our store testing process is quite fine and they find that the quality of the applications have improved after submitting to the store. Okay, regarding the app submission, it's a simple thing. You just have to define the default language, let's say that is English or something, and the country that you want to sell your application. Let's say you want to make your application available to only India or Sri Lanka or Bangladesh, depending upon the countries. You could just list that and you could define the price of your application. If you want to make it a free application or a paid application, you could determine here. There's an instant app publishing and one-step registration for all Tizen devices. Tomorrow there could be more futuristic devices, but this will be the single marketplace for the app submission and validation. So the revenue share model is 100% to the developer 1 year from launch, and next year onwards it would stand at 70-30. Okay, now I'll talk about the Tizen validation process. So many people generally ask or feel like, what is the need for the validation process? Unlike some of the other stores, there's an instant publishing without any validation. So why does Tizen do the store validation? So the vision or the strategy or the principle behind is to ensure that users have quality and safe applications on their mobile phones. So now what is the need for quality applications? We all know the app story. Like I go to some store, I download an application, I see the name, it's quite interesting, it's quite, it makes me feel like I'm going to have a very good application. I see something like, I see Angry Birds, similar to that. I think maybe I'll get an Angry Birds game and then I download. But the user experience or the quality of the application is poor. That you would realize only after you download and install, right? But then the downloads would have increased already. So what you would do, you just go to the particular store, and you would give the rating. And you'll say like, this is nasty application, this is that kind of application. But then the downloads are showing now 5 crores, 6 crores. You as a user will get misguided by the download numbers also. Like you go, oh, 10,000, 10 crores, okay, fine, maybe this is a very good application. Only when you experience. So it's that whole system is like, only when you install, you get to know the experience. To avoid such kind of bad user experience, Tizen Store pre-validates your application before getting published. So that ensures that users have good experience and the quality applications.